What is up, Math Superstars? We're in part 2 of objective 6.18 equations. And in this objective, in this part, the student I can statement is, I can solve a one-step equation by demonstrating the steps algebraically. So now in solving one-step equations, you can solve an equation by using inverse operations, which undo operations. So to solve an addition equation, you would use subtraction in order to do this. And so here we're given this equation, x plus 2 equals 7. So of course, by looking at it, you know that x equals 5, but how do we solve this algebraically is what we're looking for here. So to the left here, we're going to model this equation. So the cup represents x, and then we have two circles. And we're adding these together, and then we count up the number of circles to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so if we're going to undo addition, then we would use subtraction here. And so what we're going to do is now we're going to go ahead and take away two circles from the left. So whatever we do to the left side of the equation, we also need to do to the right side of the equation. So we need to take away 2 from the right also. So then we're left with just the cup, which is x. And so this cup equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circles. And so we know that x would equal 5. So if we didn't have the model and we just need to solve this algebraically, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 2 from both sides, because subtraction is the operation that we do to undo addition. So we're going to rewrite this equation. So we're going to write it x plus 2 and then minus 2 is equal to 7 minus 2. And so you can see here that we took away 2 from both sides of our equation. So a positive 2 minus 2 is 0. So we can just write down x. So we don't have to write down the 0. And then 7 minus 2 is 5. And of course, we always want to check our work here. So we're going to do the check here. If x equals 5, so we're going to do 5 plus 2 equals 7. We know the check works, so we're in great shape. And so to recap, so in order to undo an addition problem here, we're going to subtract from both sides and to solve for x. So the same thing we did for addition, we're going to do for subtraction. So in order to figure out a subtraction problem, we need to do the inverse, which is we need to add from both sides. And so we're given this equation, x minus 4 is equal to 10. And so to the left here, we have a model for this equation. So we have x goes all the way across here. So x is the total distance. And we're given some numbers here. So we have 10 and 4. And so we have to figure out how long x is, because if we have x, and then we're going to take this part away, we're going to take away 4, it's going to equal 10. But we have to solve for x. And so, of course, you can see it really easy. You go, oh, wait a second. 10 plus 4 is going to give me x. And so that shows us right there that we need to perform addition to both sides of our equation here. So when we take a look at our equation, so we have x minus 4, and let's go ahead and add 4 to both sides, equals 10, and then we're going to do plus 4. And so when we go ahead now and simplify this, we have x equaled to 14. And so we can tell pretty quickly when we do our check, please check your work. So we do our check here. 14 minus 4 equals 10. That checks out, and so we solved subtraction. This subtraction equation, x minus 4 equals 10. And so to recap, to isolate x, all we have to do is we need to perform addition to both sides of the equation. So now let's take a look at a multiplication problem. So here we're given the equation 2x is equal to 6. And so the opposite or the inverse of multiplication is division. So here we're given this model. So we have 2x. So now we're given 2 cups and then is equal to 6. And so what we can do is we can divide the counters equally into 2 groups. And so here we have group number 1. So the 1 cup is equal to 3. And then our second cup is equal to 3. So we know that 1 cup, which is x, is equal to 3 counters. So all we did was we did division. And so the way this looks in our equation here is now we need to divide both sides by the coefficient that we have here. So our coefficient here in our equation is 2. So what we're going to do now is we're going to divide both sides by that coefficient of 2. Okay, so I did that to both sides now. So we know that 2 divided by 2 simplifies to 1, so we don't need to write that. So now we're just given x is equal to 2 goes into 6 3 times with no remainder. So now we can perform our check here. So our check for this one, so we have 2 times 3 equals 6. So that checks out. So that means our solution is correct. So just to recap, for multiplication, what we need to do is we need to divide from both sides, whatever the coefficient is. So now we're going to take a look at division. So we're given this equation, x divided by 4 is equal to 6. And so we're given this model here. So x goes all the way across here. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide x into 4 equal pieces here. So you can tell that's how they did this. 1, 2, 3. So the whole distance across is x. And we know that one piece, so this distance right here, is equal to 6. So we got to figure out now how long are 4 of these pieces. And so to use the model here, we know that if one piece equals 6, 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, all of a sudden now, in order to undo division, we're multiplying. So we know that there are 4 equal groups of 6 to give us 24. So the way this looks in our equation, what we're going to do here is we're going to use parentheses, and we're going to multiply both sides by 4. Okay. So what we have now, so when we rewrite this, as 4 over 1. We can cross simplify. The 4 and the 4 simplify both to 1. So now we're left with x on the left side, and then 6 times 4 is 24. So now let's go ahead and check our work here. Always do the check. 24 divided by 4 is going to equal 6, so that checks out. So now the question is, what happens when I see this? I'm given 3/4 times y equals 9. So in order to solve this equation here, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal, if we have 3/4, the reciprocal of that, so the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4 over 3. So all we're doing is flipping our fraction. So the denominator becomes the numerator becomes the denominator. So the reciprocal. So what we're doing now is we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. And we're going to see what happens. So a reciprocal, we said this as 4 over 3. 4 over 3. So now we're going to take care of the left side of our equation here. So what we do is we can cross simplify, because we know that the original fraction times the reciprocal is going to always equal 1. So when we cross simplify here, 4 and 4 is 1, 3 and 3 is 1. So we know that y is going to equal 9 over 1 times 4/3. So we say y is equal to 36 over 3, or it's also equal to 12 when we simplify it. So now we need to do our check here. So the check here is 3/4 times 12 is equal to 9. So we know that 36 over 4, when we divide 36 divided by 4, is going to give us 9, so our check works. So whenever you're given a fraction as the coefficient, we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal.